Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Business with me, Danny Pardo. We are heading to Texas for this one, and we're chatting with Diana. And when I say chatting, I really mean chatting. I don't really know how we managed to stay on point so well during this, but hey, we did. And we talked about SEO, search engine optimization, and how businesses are using that, and why it's so important in the online world where a lot of commerce is now happening. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into this episode of Talking Business with Diana. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Business. We are going stateside yet again. We've got Diana over there. Hello, Diana. How are you doing today?
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good and well, and excited to chat to you. We've had a big, long chat before this, so we've sorted out a few
We should have
bits and
recorded
pieces.
that.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we'll have to fake it on another one and pretend like we've never met. So yeah, we've got to know each other a little bit on here, which is great fun. We're putting our football team differences aside today, aren't we?
I feel like you're having to do that a lot lately, though.
Yeah, it's pretty common, which is why I'm so good at it, because I've had lots of practice.
You're so good at being passed.
That's right, yeah. So as a 49ers fan here, we're going to Texas, and you're not a Cowboys fan?
No, I'm a Ravens fan.
Right, so sweet. Well, I got a purple background, so that's
Yes, purple is my favorite color. So that does coordinate with my favorite football team. Yes.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad
that is not why they are my favorite football team. Just by the way.
Just throw that out there. We're going to smash the stereotypes from the first minute of this podcast. So that's great.
My family is all from Baltimore. So I'm a Virginia girl. I was born and raised in Virginia. My family is from Baltimore, and now I live in Texas with a Cowboys fan. My boyfriend is a Cowboys fan.
Cool. So, all football differences aside, and you've traveled halfway across the country to be in Texas, which is where we're speaking from today. So I suppose we better get stuck into it then, rather than have another one of our hour-long conversations that ramble off on tangents, although those are a lot of fun. So who are you, Diana? Who are we speaking to?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, first question. I sent you the questions beforehand. I've sent you the questions. All right, you knew it was coming.
It was the one I couldn't answer.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm going to ask it again then. Who is Diana?
Still, that wasn't enough time to prep. No,
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
No, well, Diana, yes, is my name. Yes. I am a Virginia Beach native. I'm from Virginia, like we were just talking, and I've been doing SEO, PPC, and all that since 2006. I am quite old in the industry. I learned it from a company that was actually moving from print to digital. So that was, I don't even know if anybody even remembers print anymore.
Maybe not. I know that some of our textbooks and things say people read magazines and newspapers, and even I go, no. Really don't. No.
And I'm a wine hobbyist. I love going to wineries and trying different wines. I've also gotten quite good at cooking this last year or so, which I pretty enjoy that too. I like staying in shape. I run, so and I love being on social media. So I kind of landed a good job being a social media manager.
That works. That fits, doesn't it? If you love what you do, is what I hear a lot. So that kind of helps. Yeah. So what do you do right now? What's your job title and who you're working for right now?
So I am the social media and community manager for the SEO unit of Semrush. And Semrush is a digital marketing software SaaS company that's pretty prominent in the SEO industry. And it was a tool that I used as a digital marketer before I worked here. So it was pretty amazing to land a job with a brand and a business you already enjoyed working with and collaborating with. So pretty good move.
Yeah. That's rare that things slot into place like that. The jobs become available at the right time in the right place. But you can kind of
speaking of that, because I was looking for a remote position, and so moving from Virginia to Texas, I decided I wanted a remote permanent position, and I started interviewing towards the kind of the beginning of the pandemic. So like this time last year, I was interviewing and it was going well. I was doing lots of interviews, and then I started getting the email saying, yeah, we were hiring, but now because of the pandemic, we're stopping hiring. we'll keep you in our, our database or whatever. But I needed to find a job. So I kept going, and I actually became aware of this open position at Semrush through networking. I became friends with the girl who I work with to this day. And she said, she just happened to mention in conversation, I've been trying to hire for this role for months. I said, what is it? She says, it's a role for someone to talk about SEO on social media and other people. And I said, yes, please.
Yeah.
Pretty much my dream job.
Wow.
And it worked out.
Wow. Networking. Good grief.
Yeah. So yeah, jobs being open at the right time. I don't know what I did in this world to have karma like that, but I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. I mean, don't complain about that karma. That's some good stuff going your way. I mean, networking, we talk about that a lot, don't burn your bridges, all those kind of things. And because you knew someone in the right place, the right time, and just having that conversation, maybe you wouldn't have spoke about that evening or day or whatever.
No, we were not talking about jobs. We were just talking.
Wow. Yeah.
And then just happened to come up.
It's so fun how these things just happen, and you go, what would it have been without that 10 seconds of conversation change?
I know, but don't even take a conversation for granted, even if it's the most menial conversation standing in line at Starbucks or something. Don't ever take that for granted, because you just never know when it is going to come back into your life. So don't be a jerk. Be nice to people, because it can come back and get you a job.
There we go. There's the soundbite right there. But that is great advice. That is as simple as life really needs to be, isn't it? Just don't be a jerk. Yeah,
it is. Just be nice to people, because you just never know when they're going to that random person could come back and circle back into your life and play a bigger role. So it's just beneficial to be kind all around, I think.
Awesome. And kind people we are, and kind you are, for chatting to us and giving this advice. I really appreciate it. I hope our listeners and viewers do as well. I mean, so we know a bit about you, we know what you do now, but what about the bit before what you do now? If you don't mind taking us back a bit to, say, like the end of high school and your interests there, and then if college happened, and then kind of employment. So how did you get to be in your position now, where you've got this kind of dream job doing what you love on a day-to-day basis? How does that happen?
Well, I've always loved people. I actually, you mentioned high school. In high school, I was very involved in theater and kind of extroverted-ish activities. I was in the forensics club, which here in the US is not a debate, but you speak. It's basically a public speaking club. So I've always enjoyed public speaking. I've always enjoyed education. So I did go to college after high school. And my very first major that I decided on, when you're like, what you want to do when you're in high school and you're signing up for college, was education. Actually, I thought maybe I might teach theater. I come from a long line of teachers, including my mother and my aunts, and I have some of my best friends are in the education system. So I have a long history of education practitioners in my life. And then I realized that I'm not so great with kids. So maybe I'll just.
That's very honest. And I'm glad you realized there, rather than about 30 years in and go, oh, I'm sorry, everybody.
I'm actually better with kids now, but when you're a high school senior or like a freshman in college, you're like, kids, And so then midway through, I changed my focus to be just theater. And then quickly, because I would have, of course, loved to be an actress, but I didn't want to make that like a career. So I then changed it to communications. So my dad he just retired, has been a radio DJ my whole life. So I've seen him be on the air. And I mean, that's a very strong form of public education and public communication. And he's, I've seen him write copy for commercials and produce commercials and host live events. And so I've always kind of had this marketing gene in me as well. And so I shifted to communications in college because I wasn't quite sure what kind of version of marketing I wanted to do. Digital marketing was not an option at the time. And I took some amazing classes. Like my most fun class was this commercial production class. My grade was based on producing 3 commercials. I had no tests. I didn't have to study. We studied like the art and science of producing television commercials, but then that was just our grade. We just produced, we wrote, produced, cast, filmed, edited.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Yeah.
was so much fun because sometimes we didn't even have like an in-class class. Sometimes it was just a production day. Sometimes it was meeting with so-and-so and you were, storyboarding something, but I loved that. And I've always said that if I wasn't doing digital marketing, I would want to produce car commercials, like car dealership commercials, and make them better because they're awful.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Maybe they're better in the UK. I don't know, but they're terrible.
I know what you mean because you have a lot of the local commercials, don't you? Am I right? Like local dealerships. And for a British audience, maybe I'll have to put some in and keep fingers crossed on copyright or something. But yeah, your local commercials for the local dealership, we don't have that. We don't see that. Is amateur the right word? I don't know.
Kind of. It can be.
Yeah, so that's your thing then, that you've got to change television car dealership commercials.
If I hadn't found my way into digital marketing, I would have, just because that or made movie trailers because I love movies too.
Yeah.
And so while I was in college, I had a full-time job with a rental car agency investigating damage on rental cars. And it was there that I learned that I loved research. I loved analysis. Because there was a lot of like putting pieces of puzzles together. And I really loved doing that. And it was a lot of people skills because people were not happy when you sent them a letter accusing them of like, a $600 ding on the car. So you learned some really good people skills. But it was there that I was job hunting for a marketing related position. And I answered an ad in the newspaper for a marketing specialist. And I interviewed, and the woman who hired me, who is still a really good friend of mine to this day, said, here's what we're actually doing. We're moving away from print advertising. We're moving into digital marketing, which involves SEO and PPC and websites. And it just sounded fascinating. And I haven't been able to kick that habit since.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, what a journey, I never get tired of hearing this journey that goes against everything that we tell students you go to school, college, university, get your dream job, you're a manager straight away, you earn, graduate starting salary on average, and everything falls into place. I mean, you do that for ages. It's so great. Every time I hear it, that's not how it works, which is great proof. And thank you again, for proving that you can go theatre, education, car, commercials, dealerships, analysis into what you're doing now. So, in terms of what you're doing now, you've mentioned a few abbreviations here, SEO and PPC. I only know one of them. I don't know what PPC stands for. What's SEO and PPC?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, educate me.
Sure. Well, SEO stands for search engine optimization, which is the process of adjusting your physical website. So you're making changes mostly to your website. There's off-site strategies too, in order to have that website show up in a more prominent position, ideally position 1, 2, or 3, for keywords that are really relevant to your audience and your website. So I'm emphasizing really relevant there because for example, car dealership is not a good keyword that you want to go after or rank for. I know it sounds good on paper, but there's no intent related to something like that. So you want to aim for keywords that have intent, like to bring in the right audience. So I say this all the time. It's not about all the people, it's about the right people, because you could have 10,000 website visitors in a day. And if none of them convert, it don't matter that there is 10,000 of them.
10,000 people. Exactly. And put that into perspective, 10,000 people looking at your shop and they're walking straight past. Well, that's not going to feed your family, is it? Or pay the rent?
Nope, and it's not going to keep you in business.
No, so, it looks nice.
10 people walk past, sorry.
There you go.
No, you go. Sorry,
okay, so if 10 people walk past,
and 5 people convert, there you go.
There we go. What a team. What a team. So, but that's right, though, isn't it? In terms of the physical kind of thing, 10,000 people walk past your restaurant. Lovely. Or your food goes in the bin and you can't do anything with it. 5 out of 10, 50% of people walking past go in. Then you've got enough to pay your bills, pay your staff, grow and develop. And that's so important to businesses. And again, you said page, ranking in 1, 2, or 3 there.
Mhm.
I'm guessing that's in terms of Google search engines.
Well, and Bing and DuckDuckGo, whatever, all the search
Yeah.
engines have positions. And when you're looking at the page of results called the SERP, SERP, the search engine results page, you have a list of results and you count them, position 1, 2, 3. That's how we do it. That's how we
Yeah.
determine your position in Google or Bing.
Love it. So, I mean, do you get tasked then by businesses? Do they come to you and say, I want to be at least position 3? And then you have to find ways to do it. Is that a similar thing to what you do? Or is it a lot more complex than, oh, we'll just type some words in and keep our fingers crossed?
So they usually come to you and say, I want to rank number 1.
Right.
No one is really ever happy with 3rd place.
That's
But
what I
most of
thought. I
the
was just
time,
trying to be polite, but yeah, I thought everybody wants to be the best, don't they? So they come to you, I want to be number 1, and then what do you do?
and then you teach them how that is not going to happen anytime soon. So there's a lot of educating and expectation setting in the world of SEO. It is a very slow and long-term process. It's very competitive pretty much across the board nowadays. Every business is online, every business. So you're competing with everyone in your industry, and not just locally anymore. So even if you are like a local restaurant, so say you're a local pizza place and you deliver to a certain area, well, I could still kind of order from a guy who's extra miles away now, because I can place my order online and just pay a little bit more on my delivery fee. So you're like, because I can place that order online and it can come to me, then your the scope of your competitors is a lot broader online there. So and that opens things up for competition, and it opens things up for the level of work that goes into it, because you have to be able to stand out too. Again, and it's funny that the search engines, they have become very visual, because we see shopping, tidbits and videos and images that pop up, but really it's a list of text, and you have to find a way to stand out in that list of text. So, and think on a mobile device too, when you do a search, the first 4 things you're looking at minimum are 4 ads. So that's what PPC is. PPC are the ads. That stands for pay per click.
Okay.
And that's where the search engines make their money.
Yeah.
But so in an organic SEO or those organic listings, you have to find a way to stand out, and it's kind of like optimize. You have to optimize for attention and optimize for people, and also authority, so that the search engines trust you and will place you more prominently.
And in terms
It's
of being,
complicated.
yeah, it ain't it, which is why we need people like you to make it easier for people like me. And we talked about this briefly, as with our students, that in terms of search rankings, you're talking about 1, 2, or 3. We've done jokes in class about clicking on page 2 of search results. And, these are 16, 17-year-olds, and they've never clicked on page 2. They probably never scrolled down to realize there's a page 2. And that's not an exaggeration. People might think, oh, he's
No.
telling a joke, he's just doing it for effect. I'm not. We've done drum rolls, as literally some people in the class are going, there's a page 2. They see all the O's at the bottom of Google, and that is not an
Yeah.
exaggeration for 16 to 17-year-olds. So for businesses to be dealing with that you're not even on the first page, therefore you basically don't exist. I mean, is that, do
Yeah.
you see that a lot in terms of yours? You're talking 1, 2, or 3, and I'm talking the second page. Is that something that businesses are kind of aware of, conscious of, and wanting to really kind of fix up?
Right. And because everyone wants those coveted spots. And to give your students a frame of reference, Semrush, the tool, will scan the first 100 positions, which is the first 10 pages of organic results. So it does go much deeper than that first page. And you can gauge progress in your SEO as you are moving up those positions, with the ultimate goal being position 1 through 10. Sometimes it's only 7. It depends on how many other things are happening on the page. And so what's happened in the last few years is Google in particular is creating this atmosphere of Google is the resource. And I mean, you find your flight information, right? You Google your flight number and Google knows that you were scheduled on this flight and what gate it's going to be at. And you don't even have to go into your email. You don't have to go to your flight's website. The information is right there. The answers to questions are popping up right there. Recipes, the step-by-step recipes right there. And so there's a lot more opportunity on the first page of search results the search results because of these features. They are called SERP features. And really SEO has evolved into also optimizing for those features in addition to your website as a whole and getting into that main chunk of organic listings. But if you're just starting out and the organic listings your organic momentum hasn't picked up, so your listing presence is higher, you can start doing some work to show up when you answer a question in the people also ask section, with images, with videos. You can do work around that so you are present on the first page without fighting for positions 1 through 10.
And I mean, you've said the word organic a few times here, organic momentum, organic rankings. Is that essentially getting rankings without having to advertise? Is that by organic, am I thinking, but it's happening naturally?
Right, exactly. So I say we use the word organic because it is not a paid placement. That's why pay-per-click has its term, because it is paid advertising. You exchange money with Google or with Bing for your ads to be placed. SEO and the organic results are only based on your website. There is no amount of money you can pay any SEO to guarantee you number 1 organically. Just going to tell you right now. Good. Even if someone pitches you and says, I can guarantee you number 1 position, run the other direction.
Yeah, they're lying to you straight out because it's just not.
They just want your money and yeah.
Wow. And the Google thing you said, though, is really interesting, because I know some of my students look at Google and it gives it a quote at the top, so then they quote the Google page. But, I mean, you mentioned the flight, and my head immediately went to, what else can you do with that? Well, you can check the weather at your destination. You can book your hotel on there. You can probably book your attraction tickets. You can get your maps and everything sorted. And before you know it, you've got a holiday without leaving google.com. And that's just mind-blowing. Really isn't it so hard then for businesses to to get them to say, will you please leave that website and come on to ours?
Please leave Google. But that's a conundrum we're facing, right? But you still need to be where your customers are. And if you are in an industry like that where they can engage with you, I mean, even if they don't leave Google, if they still book their attraction tickets from Google, they still did business with you. And that's the point, right? So, but you have to have those capabilities through your website and through Google to do that. So just make sure you're taking other opportunities outside of just the organic listings.
So looking at listings then, how does social media tie into that? Because obviously you've got, you could pay for advertising on the search engines, you can do it organically. Does social media tie into that? And the reason I ask that is because there's a lot of jobs that now exist in social media that didn't 10, 15 years ago. For some of my students, that could be something they might be interested in, or other students, because I know that some of them love their social media and some of them are very creative on it as well. I'm not saying just scrolling. Some of them have used it really well to set up their own little businesses and things. So how does social media tie into all of this that we've been talking about as well?
Yeah, so social media is its own entity, and I would say it ties more into a business branding as opposed to SEO. Tweets, you do see tweets show up in Google, but as we know, I mean, TikToks don't and that's where a lot of people are right now. So social media is really fun. It's a great way to connect with people and to create relationships with your customers or potential customers in a way that you can't necessarily do on a website. A website is for me to seek out. Social media is for you to connect with me. And it's a great, great tool for brands and to build up recognition. And just as many people are Googling when they start a product search, people are looking on social media for product recommendations and what is trending and things like that. So it's just as much of an asset for a brand that as SEO and as a website. So it plays a big role in your digital marketing and your business marketing strategies overall. There's just not really a direct tie into SEO.
I mentioned Google so naturally because that's all I see and hear over there. The only time our students use Bing is to get to Google. What's it like in the States? In fact, true story. Okay, I can film it if you don't believe me.
Oh.
So some of them know DuckDuckGo for the anonymity reasons.
Mhm.
What's it like in the States? Is Google that much of a power player that people don't even use Bing, or are we just kind of
No,
presuming that?
that's about right.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And Bing is a
Yes,
great platform. So I'll tell you
yeah,
this though. Bing is a great platform to be on, I think, from a paid perspective too, because it is less populated and less saturated as Google. So you can actually find a lot of great advertising space. That they do have an audience. It's a very different audience than Google. But if you're running any sort of paid search campaigns, I would do a little test campaign. I've had clients get 3 4 5 times the return and the results on Bing over Google, simply because their industry was so competitive on Google that cost per click, like the fee you have to pay every time someone clicks on your ad, was stupid. It was stupid expensive and just didn't make any sense. So I've absolutely run Bing only campaigns, and because it
wow,
just made sense for the money to be there and the audience was there. But you have to know where your audience is,
yeah.
and you have to test. Those are two very fundamental digital marketing practices that also play into this. So
Yeah.
always be testing.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about the different markets that are using it again. Because I deal with 16 to 19-year-olds, so I see what they're doing, but I couldn't tell you
Mhm.
what the average 45-year-old is doing who's got a family, or a 65-year-old who's retired and doesn't have kids. I couldn't figure out those markets because I don't see them. So that's quite interesting. This was a question I didn't actually put in the list, but it just got me thinking. I mean, is AI and artificial intelligence creeping into your industry? And the reason I ask is because I was essentially made redundant by a computer many years ago.
I'm
Long
sorry.
story.
That
Yeah,
sucks.
that's okay. It didn't do it on purpose, I don't think. But with regards to AI, we hear a lot about this, that all the jobs are going to disappear and we're never going to need humans
Yeah.
again. Is AI creeping into your industry, or is it already
Mhm.
there and you're battling it
It
already?
is already here.
Mm.
But fortunately, it isn't taking away as many jobs as I think initially talked about, like when the conversation around what can robots do to make things faster or whatever. Because there's a lot of marketing technology out here in the digital marketing world that makes things more streamlined. But because even in the SEO world, so in the organic side of things, the focus is on content and making content unique and interesting for your readers, for your people. And a robot can't do that. A robot can dynamically insert maybe keywords here and there. It could kind of be like an automated Mad Libs thing, but that's not going to be unique content. That's not going to be interesting to your readers. And so that is something that can't really be done by machines. Things, I think, more so, no, actually I take that back now that I think about it. There's a lot in SEO that can be streamlined that we are already using. Things like analytics, things like forecasting, things like programmatic languages. Machines can do a lot better than us and maybe help make our website code more streamlined, or write it for us, so we don't not all SEOs have to be proficient in JavaScript or something. So there are ways that we can use AI to streamline our day to day, but social, like, search engines need you to write good stuff because their business model relies on good stuff that people will come back to. If Google started returning all crap, people would go to DuckDuckGo, people would go to Bing, and then Google's out of business. So Google, as a business model, relies on web quality websites helping people asking questions in their search engine. That is their business model. So we as writers, SEOs are writers. We have to do that. We have to embody who we're trying to connect with and write content from that perspective. And a robot can't do that. AI can't do that.
Yeah, interesting. And I know some of our students, you were saying there about asking questions. A lot of students I see don't necessarily search Google for terms like I would. I don't know if that's just my age and the way that I started using the internet with very simple search engines where if you wrote more than about 4 words, you never got anything. And they write full questions now.
Very different now.
Yeah, exactly. They write full questions. Is that a common thing as well, where people are searching not just for local weather? What is the local weather today? What will the weather be tomorrow? Things like that. Is that a common thing?
The search engines have become our encyclopedias. When I'm gonna guess, have experienced a physical encyclopedia. And when you had a question in your head, you open the encyclopedia to, well, I mean, the encyclopedia couldn't tell you the weather, but like if you were researching something,
Yeah.
you had the question in your head, and then you tactilely searched through a book to read the answers. The search engines have eliminated that and can give you that answer right away. Yeah. And so we ask questions for the search engines because that's been the behavior we've kind of been taught to do. As things like encyclopedias or yellow pages or something have gone by the wayside, the search engines have become our knowledge resource. And so, people in Semrush, we have a tool that will tell you what questions are being searched around your keywords. So if you did something like, if you did research on encyclopedia, our tool can tell you what questions people are asking about encyclopedias. Because it's such a prominent thing. That's why there is a feature in Google called People Also Ask. So you can look in that section and see, so people ask like, what is an encyclopedia? But maybe they want to know like how many encyclopedias existed, or when was the first encyclopedia, or what did it look like? Because kids don't know what it looks like.
No, they don't. And why would you? You've never had to use one. That's just the nature of this, evolving world that we live in. And who knows what 20 years from now we'll be talking about here. Like,
I know.
What is this Google thing you speak of? It's going to be quite interesting. I mean,
how career people did that.
Yeah, people made money from that. Like, this makes no sense. So I mean, how much
website?
Yeah, it was a website. Yeah, we're going to revisit this in 20 years. Let's do a 20 years on special.
Put it on our calendars now.
Yeah,
although we won't even have smartphones.
no, in our virtual reality avatars or whatever.
Yeah, we're just going to have to remember.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, how much do we take people like you for granted? I don't mean that in a nasty way, I've always sounded it. But we turn our computers on, we find every single piece of information we ever could have wanted to, and more. I can see pictures and videos of anybody at any time. I can look for anything. How much are we taking people like you for granted that we can actually find that?
Yeah. So all of that content, images, videos, blogs, recipes, someone put it there. Yeah. Someone took the time to create something and made it readable for the search engines. And so even Wikipedia, even Amazon, somebody made that. Yeah. Somebody is working on that. It's not just a thing that built itself. Maybe AI will do that one day. I have no idea. But, websites and creating helpful information and a great experience for you, there's a person behind that. There's a marketer behind that. There's a web developer behind that. There's a user experience analyst behind that. There's a business behind that, and there's a strategy behind that. And it took meetings and it took discussions to decide how the Amazon shopping page should look. That took testing. That took, it didn't just happen like that. I don't know if you remember Amazon at first. I do, when it was just books.
I do.
So, it does not look anything like it did.
No, it really doesn't.
Back then, I think it came about right when I started college, which was about 2001. So. Yeah. I can't remember when Amazon was officially founded, but that's when I started using it.
Yeah, it was the mid-90s, and I remember we were talking about it in class actually, because we were looking at diversification and how Amazon used to sell books, and now you can buy everything. And I was saying how I brought some spices and food and a shelf rack and all kinds of things the other day. And I don't know if you'd heard, in London, Amazon have opened their first hairdressing salon. So you can go in and it's all augmented reality. You can choose your hairstyle and see what it's going to look like. And then obviously then you can buy the Amazon products that you liked and just scan the code while you're sitting in the seat, and use a Kindle Fire tab to do it, and all the magazines are preloaded on it. So they've come a long way from selling a few books to to me and you at the turn of a
I
century.
know, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's
But
absolutely
to your
fascinating.
point, to your question, those have all been business decisions. Those have
Mm.
all been marketing decisions. Those have all been people decisions. And they don't happen overnight, and they don't happen on their
No, they
own.
don't know, and I think
So,
that's a
I
good.
mean, so even Wikipedia, which
Mhm.
guys don't, Wikipedia is not a source, but even Wikipedia is human edited, and everything on there is done by people. When you Google something and like that block on the right hand side kind of shows up next to Google results, somebody put that there.
Yeah, decisions were made to do that, and that's what we're
Yes.
trying to do, isn't it? That's what our teachers are certainly trying to do, is say, look, there is a massive industry behind what you just looked at on your phone or what you're looking at on your laptop
Yeah.
right now. There's a huge industry, so please don't say there's no jobs, because there are literally thousands of people working behind the scenes to get the information that you've got in this lesson, from
It's
different
so
places.
interesting to me that it doesn't even dawn on this most recent generation that there's someone behind it. Because I mean, I don't know if it's because we grew up. I mean, I grew up with the internet. Like, as the dawn of it was slow, it was dial up. It took me 20 minutes to load a website.
Yep, yep.
I guess I don't know if it's because of that mindset that we've seen the iterations of the internet evolve, that we realize that it's a people generated resource. And because the kids generation now it's just there, it's just a
Yep,
thing there.
yep.
I don't know if that, I guess out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. That's really interesting to me that
Yeah.
it doesn't sink in.
Yeah, no, I think that's maybe
No
something.
offense, student. Not
No,
your
no.
fault.
Well, I'm going to
I'm not
completely
trying to harp
disagree
on
with
you.
that. Yes.
It's just interesting.
No, I'm with you, because it's something I'll probably ask my students, actually, as to why, what their mindset is and the thinking of it. I know I've spoke to some people and they've used the term digital natives. And when you are native to something, i.e. the internet and a mobile phone, that you do,
Mhm.
you think about it differently. I'm not a psychologist or a scientist, as you can probably tell, but there is something different to how you perceive that, to just, it's there and it's for me and it's free. Surely there's not an industry behind it if it's all free. So I think, yeah, that's definitely something worth kind of checking out a bit more. Thank you. Yeah. But
You should do a study on it. I'll help you. I would
yeah,
be this
that would be
it's very
interesting.
fascinating to me too. So
Here we
let's do
go.
a study.
Cool. Let's both get our doctorate in it or something. Yeah, that'd be great.
Mm,
No, okay. Shall I bring it down a bit? So, all right. Let's go talk about your industry a little bit then. Is it, if you don't mind me asking, is it a male-dominated industry? Because over here in the UK, ICT classes are quite male-dominated.
I would say the SEO industry is still a little male heavy. There are some fabulous women in this industry. There are some incredible voices. I think it's a lot less male dominated now than it used to be. I feel pretty well balanced in it. I don't ever feel shunned or like
Yeah.
overshadowed or something, because I'm a woman or something like that. So it's gotten a lot better, and that's cool, because
Yeah.
because of the tie-ins to all of the other aspects to marketing. The digital marketing world is a very strong community, so we very much support each other, especially in the SEO world. Loves to talk, which is great. So we all get to have a voice, and I think it's still probably it's still probably on the high end of men, but I don't think it's too crazy.
Cool. That's very nice to hear. It's nice to hear
Yeah.
that doesn't hit the stereotypes of what gender you have to be able
No,
to work in the
just be.
industry.
So one of the greatest things too, if you're thinking about like a job in social media too, is having a personality. Like, gender aside, really it doesn't matter. Just having a nice personality and it fitting with the brand that you're trying to work with or promote helps by and large. So one of the biggest things I learned in my career path was to be myself. And I have a personality. There's nobody else like me, and I'm freaking proud of that. And when at my first career, it was kind of, sometimes it was negatively seen, and my voice is loud, and sometimes people didn't like that, and it rubbed people the wrong way. And to me, that is just a sign that you're not in the right fit, that this company or job isn't in the right fit. And I learned everything, like not everything. I learned most of what I know about SEO, and PPC from that company. It was a great experience, no bad blood at all. But it wasn't until I, got the cojones, got the gusto to quit and seek out something else, that I found like this beautiful work family that supported my personality, that used it to their advantage, and fostered it. And that got me a job with my dream job. And I would not have been able to do that without that stepping stone, and without me taking control of my own career and realizing that I do have strength, and I do have a voice, and I do have good ideas, and I can do X, Y, and Z. I'm capable, and I can speak it, and I don't have to be told no all the time. And, you know, but I had to make that discovery on my own. And I've had the two greatest jobs of my career because I stuck to my personality. Like, so the job I left, and I sought out this other job, the job that I had before Semrush. It was a boutique marketing agency and branding agency, and they weren't hiring. But I looked at their website. I got like a really good vibe from them. I felt like kind of this natural connection to them. And I said, hey, I see that you're kind of offering digital marketing services. That's my area of expertise. I can come in and complete your service packages for you. And we met twice, and I was hired in 2 interviews because we connected so naturally. And I mean, we're good. Again, we're still really great friends to this day. It's like still such a work family that I value, even though I don't work for them anymore. And I never would have found that experience had I not trusted my own personality and given myself the okay, that it's okay to be aggressive and shoot for something. And it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think, in this atmosphere that we're dealing with right now, is kind of hard to come to terms with. And sometimes you do really want to feel like you want to fit in, but sometimes that's actually, you are way better. Like,
Yeah.
natural you is way better than anything else, than trying to fit in and being somebody else's mold. And it can lead you down a really healthy and fulfilling career path too, even outside of your personal life too.
Yeah. And I think authenticity is underrated, and it's difficult. It's difficult in my profession. There's still a professionalism you've got to be there, and you can't be exactly like who maybe you would be when you're just at home chilling or whatever. But authenticity is really key, isn't it, to find in your workplace, because it's hard to pretend. It's
And it's
exhausting.
exhausting.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Look at us on the same wavelength here. So yeah, it is. It is absolutely exhausting to think. Right, I've got to switch on a different persona for like now 8 or 9 hours a day, and then you have to
Yeah.
switch it off when you go home, and then who are your family getting? To kind of
Yeah.
hang out with on the evening.
Well,
So
and
that authenticity. Poof.
authenticity is a term that I think got a little overused in the marketing world during the pandemic, because everyone kind of shifted their tone to be more, a little more human, to be a little more empathetic to what is still happening to our world now. But the way you just said it was perfect. And what I love about Semrush is that their authenticity comes from the very, very tippy top down. Like, they hire based on that as a core value. And so everyone you come into contact with has this utmost respect for everyone. We can talk to each other respectfully and plainly, and offer feedback in a way where there's no one's defensive, or no one, and because we really all foster this sense of, we're in this together, we're all on the same path, we have this authenticity inside of ourselves of wanting to contribute to our business and to the community. And as a business and as a brand, we have a very big community. So our business is much bigger than our employees, right? It's such a much bigger world that we have created over this time, that it makes it so much more fun to be authentic, and you make those real connections with marketers and people out there because you can relate to their struggles here and this and that. And you can't do that if you're putting on some persona that just doesn't fit with you. And that connection just isn't going to be as strong if you're faking it.
Yeah, and it always gets found out sooner or later, which
Yeah.
causes more problems down the line. So, I mean,
Yeah.
authenticity is key. What else would you say to people wanting to get started in this industry? If you've got 17, 18-year-olds who are thinking, that job sounds pretty cool. What should I be doing? Should I be volunteering? Should I be working at home? Should I be practicing? Should I be looking for internships or work experience? What should youngsters be doing to get into your industry?
You should be doing all of those things.
Okay, cool.
You just answered the question for
Oh,
me.
good grief.
So I would say if you want, I'm sure digital marketing is taught in colleges and universities now, but if that's not even your thing, if like, because college and university is not for everyone, and that's totally fine, you can absolutely learn SEO. And SEO is so multifaceted that you can specialize in one area, or you can be a generalist. I'm a generalist. And but to get that general practice, I recommend you build your own website in WordPress and at least one other platform so that you have that experience. You don't ever actually have to publish it if you don't want. I would recommend publishing once so you can see how it does rank in the search engines, because really when I was training, I've trained lots of SEOs, and in the training, I always said the training took like 3 to 4 months to really happen, because you have to optimize a website and see the results in order for that to those dots to connect in your head. So I recommend you build 2 websites in 2 different platforms, one of them being WordPress. Launch one of them. You can launch either platform, optimize it, start doing the SEO stuff too. You're going to need SEO foundations from building your website, but as you start to research how do I build a website, you'll kind of learn those things as you're going. So start there, and then you can work on other SEO tactics that are like on-page stuff. Then you can work on off-page, off-site stuff, things like gaining backlinks. So one link for me to you would be a backlink to you. And things like your Google My Business page, which is usually that square that pops up that says, Target at this location, and it's hours and it's reviews. That's your Google My Business page. And then if you want to get into something like paid advertising, I recommend you run your own campaign, or paid social. I recommend you run your own campaign. Start creating a personal brand for yourself on social media too, so you can understand how you start to communicate on those platforms, how you grow an audience, what it means to have a conversation with someone on social media that is not personal, that is business related or industry related, that is outside of, your cousin got a new car and you like it, outside of what Danny made for dinner last night. Like you need to put into practice and think of yourself as a business and do it for yourself while you're kind of learning and looking for jobs. Because then also, PS, now you have a portfolio. Now you've got a digital portfolio that you can also showcase when you are in interviews. And I'll tell you what, because like I said, I've hired and trained many SEOs in my career. I'll tell you what, I really didn't look at your GPA. If you can do the tangible skills, if you've got a good drive, like if you can do the things that I can't teach you, then we're good, because I can teach you everything else. You can learn SEO. I promise.
Awesome. Look at that for advice. I mean, from some advice from somebody, this is where I am very limited, but you are literally the person who hires these people, and you're telling them how to, impress you and also contribute to a business, because that's what you'll end up doing and hopefully enjoy it.
Yes, I love hearing your success stories. If you tell me you started on Twitter with 59 followers, and then in 3 months, by participating in Twitter chats, by starting conversations, you grew to 1,000 followers, that's huge. And if you can do that for you can do that for a business. Yeah. So just practice on yourself, like make yourself your own business. And then also you're going to get more visibility, because most likely your employers are going to do some research on you. And you have a great way to showcase your skills.
Okay, well, I was going to ask just one question, but now you're making me ask another one, which is great. So how should people present themselves on social media? You know, if you're somebody who's hiring,
Mhm.
and what because a lot of our students have the Snapchat, Snapchat, that's a new one, Snapchat, you know, Twitter, Snapchat and Instagram are big for our students, and TikTok. So what should they be doing or be careful of on those?
Yeah, there is a fine line.
Hmm.
There is always the workaround where you have two different profiles, one for
Hmm.
personal, one for business.
Guilty as charged.
But yep. But I also, so I only have one profile across the board for myself, but I stick to LinkedIn and Twitter for my business and industry talk, and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok are more for friends and family or entertainment. And so I'm in a little bit of a different stage than a student is, because I am already in control of like that persona out there, but and I'm in control of those conversations because those are the two platforms that I have proactively created and engaged with in those conversations. I share some stuff on Facebook just because when this goes out, I will share on Facebook because I want my friends and family to see it too. But I'm not really friends with a lot of the same influencers and folks that I am like on Twitter. I am friends with some of them because I've become friends with some of them, but that is Facebook and Instagram are where I share my personal things. And so with a little bit with 0.5% sharing of SEO stuff. Um, so you kind of got to make it what you want. Like, you are in control of your profiles, so you can make it what you want it to be. But people are going to look for you.
Yeah.
So if you have a video of a party you were drunk at 3 weeks ago, probably get that off.
Nice, smart idea.
On all platforms.
Yeah.
Even if your TikTok is just friends and family, just remove it.
Oh yeah, because once it's out there, it's out there. Somebody somewhere is going to find it somewhere. So yeah, delete, or don't put it in the first place. It might be a good idea as well. Maybe put your phone away for an evening or something. Let's wrap it up with one last question before you here, but I haven't prepped you for. But you know, your advice has been stellar today. It's absolutely stunning, and thank you so much for it. I really, really, really mean that. So if you could go back to when you were 17 or 18 years old and give yourself some advice, or if you wish somebody had given you some advice that you'd stuck to, kind of maybe used as a mantra or a motto, what would that advice have been for 17, 18-year-old Diana?
Start working out now. Because it's a
Simple
lot
as that.
harder in your 30s.
Love it. Stop. There you go, people.
Vegetables now. No.
Right. Don't wait.
With career advice, though, I would tell my 17 or 18-year-old self to kind of follow the same path that I did, but listen to my gut a little bit more and pursue. I wish I knew a little bit more about coding websites. I've always worked with websites, but I've never built one. I'm actually building my own right now. And so that's kind of where that advice came from a minute ago, was I'm in the process of doing it myself because I'm having to reverse engineer my education a little bit. Okay. And so gain every experience that you can, 18-year-old Diana, and take maybe some more web development classes just so you're a little bit more in the know. But otherwise, I love the path that I was on, and I don't know if I would want to change anything about it, because then I might not be here today in the position I am today. And I absolutely love where I am today. So I don't know. I just wish I had a flatter stomach. So that's where the working out comes from.
That pesky 18-year-old Diana, and not
such a great metabolism.
That's right, yeah, and restaurants and things. So yeah, so I mean, that's great advice, isn't it? You know, and again, you know, you don't have to have a load of regrets when you get to a certain age in life, and it doesn't have to be, oh, but this bit of my life, these 6 months weren't perfect, you know, or that was a tough year, because welcome to life. You know, these things happen. Yeah, it's tough and it can be really challenging. So you don't have to have loads of regrets by the time you get to you know, my age, or I'm not going to say your age, but you know, you don't. We're
close in age. We're close.
Yeah, we're not far off. So, but yeah, let's wrap it up then. I mean, thank you, Diana, so much. Seriously, there's so much here to take away from. Yeah, 54.5 minutes. Look at
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Amazing.
That went
Um,
fast.
yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed that.
It
Let's
was
do,
fun.
yeah, we'll do like a 10-part series or something. I think this is going to be great. You'll start charging. I think, I wouldn't blame you.
Or we'll start drinking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. By the time you get to episode 7, you'll be like, hey, everybody.
Now, let me tell you what I really think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We could do before and after. Be great fun. My word. Yeah. How to get fired. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. I'm going to leave it in. It's fine. How to lose your job in education. Lesson 1 by Danny. But yeah, thank you so much. Stay on the line. Obviously, we'll say a quick proper goodbye, cheerio in a minute. But yeah, thanks for your advice. Lots to digest and take away from, and who knows where your industry is going in the future. But right now, it sounds like an exciting place to be. So
Yeah.
thank you, and I'll say goodbye, and we'll see you again soon. And
Yes, I would
cheerio.
love to.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. See you later. Bye-bye. Well, I said it a few times in the episode. I'm going to say it again anyway. Thank you, Diana. Really appreciate your honesty and your insights, because the industry you work in really is quite exciting, and it's a part of our everyday life. And I hope that students take that knowledge away and possibly think about how they could fit in to that industry and contribute to it. And your authenticity, Diana, is really appreciated as well. We need to see more of that, I think. So thank you, Diana. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat on Talking Business. And if you enjoyed this episode, then you can see more and hear more. Have a look for Talking Business with Danny Pardo all over your normal podcast listening platforms. You'll find Mr. Pardo's Business a useful search term to look for, being as though we've been talking about SEOs. You can find Pardo's Business or Mr. Pardo's Business if you just have a look for that on Instagram or Snapchat or what's that other one with the videos? YouTube, that's the one. And I look forward to seeing you again soon with another episode of Talking Business with me, Danny Pardo. Thank you very much. Cheerio.